Welcome back to another video, you guys. Today we're going to go over a beginner's guide for Escape from Tarkov Arena. 33% of you guys subscribed that watched the last video. Please like and sub, you guys. I'm almost at 250 subs. I appreciate it a lot. And guys, please refer to the timestamps in the timeline because it will allow you to scan through the video much faster. So we're starting here with a completely fresh account. I'm just going to go from top to bottom to explain things briefly. First, we have the Battle Pass. If you go here, we have the Season 0 Battle Pass. You can unlock different skins that persist between wipes. And after the Battle Pass, we have Arena Battle. We're going to select this to go ahead and search for games we want to play. For ranked, all we have now is Blastgang and Teamfight. Blastgang is basically search and destroy like in Call of Duty or in Counter-Strike, where it's a 5v5 and you have attackers and defenders. Teamfight is another 5v5. Again, if you die, you have to wait until you respawn the next round. Basically, it's a death match, and after about I think a minute and 20 seconds you are able to capture a specific point on the map, and if you wipe out the enemy team you win the round, or if you capture the point you win the round. There's not a lot of people that play ranked as of this recording, mostly because there's no ranked rewards right now. So a lot of people play unranked. So if you're having trouble finding matches in ranked, just go to unranked for now until there are ranked rewards. And then we have Checkpoint and Last Hero. Last Hero is a free-for-all match. It's available on a few different maps here, as we can see. And we have Checkpoint. Checkpoint is like domination in Call of Duty, where there's 3 points on the map. You have to hold the objectives for as long as possible. Overrun is still unavailable. It's been there since I think the start of Arena about a year and a half ago. Overrun, I think, is 5 players, so 5 like real people playing against bots. I think it's kind of, I don't know if it's going to be like a horde mode like in Gears of War or something like that, where you have to bunker down and hold your own against AI scavs and bosses, but we'll eventually see what that game mode's all about. You can do custom matches if you want to, and you can host your own games. Next, we have presets. You can see the standard presets that they have already pre-made for people, or you can make your own custom preset in the game as well. Custom presets can typically be much stronger, but there are still pretty good builds that they have set up for people to use, because these weapons do have attachments and different items that you need to unlock later on down the road. For example, if we go to the Scout class, there is this Stinger weapon here, which has an AK-102. This is actually a very, very good build. We have 855A1 inside of the magazine, but this gun, if you hit Inspect, go to the leveling tab here, you can see that you can unlock tons of different attachments. Now, these are a lot of attachments for AKs and 5.56. That's why I really encourage people to use the AK-102 at the start of playing Arena. Moving down to the Armory tab here, we can see there's a bunch of different weapons and guns. You can also type up top here. I can type 7.62. and it should bring up all of these 7.62 rounds by 51, by 39. And you can also see all of the weapons that take 7.62 if you're looking for a specific type of build. If we move down to the Traders tab here, this is where you can go to look at a more in-depth version of all of your tasks through Ref, as well as buying clothing from Ragman. Little white symbol on the top right corner means it's already purchased. A little red symbol here means that it's available in the Battle Pass. And then the other items here are available for purchase on the website with this little yellow symbol. I think eventually they'll be able to add microtransactions to the actual game itself instead of having to go to the website. In the Ref tab, if we go to services here, you can also see that you can transfer rubles and GP coins or any items that you get in Arena over to the main game of Tarkov. But that's not our main focus today. You can click career here to see all of your in-game stats and everything. Again, I don't have anything to show here, but you can see ranked and unranked stats. On the top left, we're in the overall tab. You can see your health for some reason. I don't know why. You can see your skills tab as well. These skills do transfer over to the main game of Tarkov. You can see your tasks here. You just have to click operational and you'll be able to see all the tasks you have available. Achievements, there's Arena exclusive achievements. And then you have the rating here, which you can see everybody on the leaderboard. Next, we got settings. In the settings, I would highly recommend these different options. Make sure I just stay on 16:9 ratio. There's some people that swear by 4:3. I wouldn't recommend it. I would just stick to 16:9. I would do borderless. And if you'd like, I'm going to slowly go over all of my settings. If you'd like to copy them, just pause the video. Texture quality, weapon texture, I keep DLSS off. 1x for sampling off. I have NVIDIA on and boost. If you have an NVIDIA graphics card, to optimize your performance, you need to use the NVIDIA control panel. You should have access to this just by simply having any kind of GeForce or NVIDIA graphics card. So once we have it pulled up here, I would go to adjust desktop color settings. I change my brightness to +50, my contrast to +50, my gamma at 1.5, my digital vibrance is at 80%. This is my personal preference. It can be a little blinding at first, especially if you're playing in a dark room. So I definitely would recommend have something, a decent light source in the room, so that way you're not just frying your eyes. After that, you want to go to manage 3D settings. We're going to hit program settings here. If you do not have the game found, which you probably won't, you'll probably need to add it. So you're going to hit add. If you want to just keep the game open while you're doing all this, you can too. I would just go and find Escape From Tarkov Arena.exe. Make sure you select that and add selected program. Once you have that pulled up, you'll see that it's selected here, and then just go ahead and follow these settings. The ones in bold are the ones that I've changed. So just pay attention to the bold settings here. I'm just going to go and scroll down. Just pause the video when you need to. The next tab here, post effects, I like Montreal because it makes things a lot more colorful and saturated. I have saturation up all the way, colorfulness and clarity. I'm at 60 intensity there. Character voice is up to you. I always keep my announcer language as Russian because it just sounds a lot more natural, and it's what I've been using ever since the start of Arena. Chat volume I keep kind of low. Same with interface volume. We want an overall volume to be as high as possible. Announcer volume I put as low as possible because it can really disrupt your hearing while you're playing a match. Up to you for what you want to use for your VoIP controls. I have here. We go down slowly. I have my aim on continuous, so that way I don't click to aim down sight. I like to hold my right click to aim down. You're looking at check ammo. This is kind of taking out your magazine so you can look and inspect how many bullets you have left. There is push to talk here. This is VoIPing in game for a proximity. Use radio is something that is the only thing that I really use because that's how you talk to your teammates on your team. When you use your radio in the game and you're close to the enemy team, they can still hear you talk in proximity. So just know you can use the radio for also talking to the enemy, but you're just going to be talking to your teammates mostly. We always want slot 4 or your healing slot to be on release because you can press and hold your 4 key or your healing key, and you can scroll down to choose which part of your body you want to heal first. When it comes to regions, make sure that you select the best region possible for you. Again, there's a bit of setup when it comes down to all those settings that I explained before, but once you do it, even the first time, typically all those settings will persist even if the game wipes. When we start here as a fresh account, you can see we only have 600,000 rubles and 50 GP. That's not a lot of resources to really start with in Arena, especially if you need to reroll a few of those tasks that you don't want. Like I hate playing as Enforcer, so I'm going to replace this. It's only 12,000 to reroll for now, but the expenses get a little bit higher as you level up. When it comes down to making a preset, I usually want to go for the MDR first. It's just a very versatile gun. You can see the ergo is 75, recoil is 62. Both ergonomics and the weight of the weapon determine how fast you can ADS or aim down sights. And the vertical recoil is mostly what people pay attention to because the horizontal recoil doesn't have too much of an effect, but obviously vertical recoil allows you to control the gun a lot easier. And right above my head here, we can see muzzle velocity. Muzzle velocity is 909 meters a second. That means the bullet is going to shoot very, very fast. That means you don't really need to lead your bullet as much. I pay a lot of attention to my muzzle velocity because I really don't like to lead my shots. I'd rather just shoot straight onto somebody's head or whatever I'm shooting at. With the MDR, we're not really going to have to add too many attachments because a lot of them are already unlocked. The first thing we're going to spend money on is this RVG Black. It's 160,000 rubles, but it gives great recoil reduction and a lot of ergonomics, which allows us to have better stats for how fast we can ADS. As we can see, the weight also goes up as we start adding parts, which can add a detriment to how fast you can ADS as well. So it's a little weird with Tarkov. For our muzzle, I usually like to keep things silenced. I go for the G-Lock, hammer, flash hider, and then right above it usually we're allowed to put on the M4 SD. This is a very, very good flash hider and silencer that you can use throughout the entirety of Arena. And the best part is we have access to this right away. I'm also going to put on these M-Lock mounts because they are able to give us 1 extra ergo for not a huge weight detriment either. For more ergo, we're going to go ahead and put on any of these front sights, these iron sights that have 9 meta points. The reason why that is because again, it gives us +1 ergo, so it starts to add up. We're going to do the same thing for the back sight as well. And then for our main sight in the middle of the gun, I usually always will spend my GP originally on the XPS 3.2. This sight is, in my opinion, one of the best sights in the game because it gives you very clear vision without obscuring a lot of peripheral vision. So anything outside of the sight. Let's go ahead and purchase that. I'm going to go ahead and throw this guy on here in the middle. This will push down the front sight and the rear sight that we have. And that's it. That's the weapon. We're looking at 65 ergo, which is really, really high, with 53 vertical recoil, which is super low. And we're still at 915 muzzle velocity, which is great. And another little cool part is you can completely change the color of the entire weapon. Once we have our weapon built here, we're going to save it. And we're going to type N01. I just do that for like number 1. The reason why we save that just with whatever 3 characters you want to use is because you can open this build in another preset so you don't have to recreate the gun every time. And over right here in the bottom, you can see that there's like meta points and everything. For the meta points, we have a spot for ammunition, a spot for body armor right here, and then a spot for utility right here, the little lightning symbol. This lightning symbol determines how many meds you can have, which are these, different attributes. Don't really ever have to worry about utility cost because a lot of these like stims and different things don't really have a very high meta cost. You can see that we're in the red here. We want to stay within the green for pretty much all areas. And then at the end over here, we can see that we want to get as close as we can to like that 11,500 mark on the bottom left corner there. When it comes down to stimulants, so this is my personal preference. Again, you guys can use whatever stims you find in other videos or different things like that. There are ways to maximize what kind of skill buffs that you get from different stims. Like Trimadol is something that a lot of people usually prioritize. I just typically don't find myself running, jumping like a crazy amount throughout the game. So usually I go for the Propital for my first purchase for stims. I pop this at the start of every single match that I play because it removes pain for 240 seconds. So that means that effect lasts pretty much the entire match. During that time, we also get health regen for 300 seconds. It's just +1 health regeneration. But if you're low health on both your chest and your arm, it'll increase the health of each body part by 1 per second. This also adds to your health and vitality skill. And the reason why that's important is because vitality can actually stop bleeds from happening. You just have to get it to a high enough level. The next really important stim you need to buy is the AHF1-M stimulator. You go and purchase this and throw this in because this buffs our health skill and stops and prevents bleeds for 60 seconds. So if you get 2 heavy bleeds and a light bleed, then that's when you're going to pop this stim and it'll stop everything all at the same time. Just takes 2 seconds. You're going to have to play probably a match or 2. Once you get enough money, you're going to purchase this 3BTG stim. This allows you to have more stamina recovery, attention, and strength. Strength is a big one because it lets you run faster. So go ahead and you can bind these to your quick bar here at the bottom. If you want to click and drag them, you can, or just press the certain keys that you want to use. So that way you can use these. Again, you're just going to use Propital to start. You're only going to use this AHF1 stimulant once you get bleeds for the first time. You don't want to use it at the start of the match. So we have a bunch of different headsets you can choose from. This is the next thing we're going to talk about, just body armor and helmets. We're going to throw on Comtac 2s for now because it's the only one that we have access to since we spent money on our stims, but we're going to want Comtac 4s as fast as possible. We obviously have to also reach the level requirement, which is level 10, so that way we can unlock this headset. This headset, in my opinion, provides the best clarity, as well as you're able to hear footsteps, gunfire, and your surroundings just much easier. You'd think that Comtac 6s would be better because they're the most expensive headset. In my opinion, they're just not all that good. I don't like how muffled things sound. So Comtac 4s just really boost that sound a lot more, and again, makes it easier to hear. Moving on to helmets, we just want the best possible helmet we can have. With assault classes, the only thing you can have is tier 4. We're going to go ahead and just put on what's free for now. Next, I just like to put on Cold Fear because it looks cool. Going on to eyewear, usually I will want to put on like gas cans or something because it does give you 15% protection against flashbangs. We need some body armor next. Really what you want to shoot for is getting this OTV body armor. This OTV body armor is usable on almost every preset that exists right now. We have to complete 2 daily tasks, so we'll do that later. For now, we're just going to go ahead and throw on the Thor armor. This is also pretty good because it's very low weight, as well as we don't have too many detriments with this armor. As you can see at the very bottom here, we can see our weight maximum. We're in green weight here, or if we're lightweight, we can move a lot faster. And then when you're in yellow weight, then that's when you're slightly overweight and you'll move a little bit slower, you'll turn slower. And then if you're in red weight for some reason in arena, you're going to be really, really heavy and you will not be able to move fast at all. You won't be able to regen stamina. And that is also how it works in the main game. The next thing we want is a tactical rig. We can see here there's like a normal rig, and then if you hover over this subcategory, it's armored vests. These armored vests, again, do provide armor while also giving you a spot for your tactical slots. So like magazines, different things like that. I typically like to keep it separate for arena just because there's a few less detriments when you're keeping them separate. And usually things weigh a little bit less. I'm just going to filter it by just gear rigs. We just want just a tactical rig right now. I would throw on the Triton. You typically want to try to stay as dark as possible, to try to throw on darker clothing. This makes it kind of harder for people to see you and hit you. Again, I did that kind of quick, but you can hit the view tab in the top left here, and you can see different shirts and different things you can equip. As you purchase things from Ragman or on the website, you can equip different clothing items. Another thing I almost forgot to mention is definitely throw on one of these med items, and then again, make sure you bind this to your 4 or your healing slot. If your chest is pretty low, you want to make sure that you get that to maximum health as often as you can. We can right click our weapon here, we can unload the magazine, and then we can load it with just pretty much the best stuff that we have. You want to just maximize as much good ammo as possible. We want to duplicate. You can right click the mag and duplicate it. We want to get this again as close to 11,500 as possible. Duplicate it again. We're still not over. So we are a little bit over here at the end. So typically what I do is I will grab maybe like this 20 round mag. Oh yeah, we need to throw in a round into the gun too. Let's actually make this 13,000 or 13. We're going to throw the mag back into the weapon there, and then we're pretty much done with this class. Just know that when we're looking at ammunition and we see penetration, we can see that it says 38 penetration, and the value at the bottom shows you what tier of armor it'll go through. So if it's 38, it will almost go through tier 4 armor completely. If we look at SOST next to it, you can see that we have green for 1, 2, and 3 because it'll pen through tier 3 armor with 33 pen. It'll almost go through tier 4, but it'll probably take 3 or 4 bullets. I'll name it like MDR or something, so that way it's easy to understand what gun it is. I'll hit the save preset up here. Even if you want to try out the weapon, you can click the shooting range, and in the shooting range, you can test out your weapon, see your sight, and see how the gun handles and all that good stuff. Try to run around a little bit, get used to the movement. Used to leaning left and right while you're moving left and right. Used to like peeking around corners, trying to peek different angles. Make sure you're hitting your shots. You can check out these TVs to see where your bullets are hitting. If you need to reset the targets, you can click this, hit F on it. Then if you need to restore all of your magazines, you can hit F here. and it'll restore your weapon back to new. You can also turn on this little training, which will start a countdown, and you have to shoot the little yellow targets that will pop up here and there. It's kind of fun. So we have our first custom preset made here. I'm going to go a little quicker into Enforcer. I'll probably just start with the Uzi. It's a very easy weapon to modify. You unlock attachments for it pretty easily. There's not like a ton of things to get here. When we modify the Uzi, we go in, we can just throw on this little sight on top here. Again, using the XPS32. Again, all these other weapon attachments, you'll just want to upgrade them as you gain better options. We're going to throw on contacts. We're going to go and throw on this tier 4 helmet. With this tier 4 helmet, you can actually have and buy this slap plate. The slap plate will give you tier 5 armor on the top. It looks a little silly, so I don't highly recommend it. Maybe going with like a darker, like a black kind of helmet will make it to where your head is a little bit harder to see. We can go to the Thor armor, and then we can actually hit this little gear wheel in the top left. We can modify the armor. With Enforcer, you can have tier 5 plates. I'm going to put on a tier 5 front plate. I'm just going to leave the back as a tier 4 plate. For the face, again, Cold Fear. Throw on some gas cans. We're going to grab a rig, probably the same one, just another Triton rig. Then we're going to add in our med items, IFAC, Propital, AHF1. Bind those, and then we're going to go ahead and add in our magazines. Again, just put in the best round possible. We're gonna have a lot of these. We're a little over. Let's go ahead and unload. Yeah. Oh, we're a little over our firepower here. So what that means is we probably can't have that extra mag. If we want to try to maximize our meta score a little bit more, we can go into our armor plate, throw on these side plates here that are 250 each. That'll get us a little bit closer. So now we have slightly better plates on the side of our armor, which isn't super essential because people usually aren't hitting your side. And again, if you want to try it out on the range, you can. It's a very easy to control weapon because the fire rate's really low and it doesn't have very high recoil at all. You're going to want to aim for the head with this weapon, and it's going to probably take quite a few shots because this weapon only has 30 pen. So you're not even going to pen through most helmets that people are wearing. If you want to instead even, you can go for rip rounds. Rip rounds does very high damage, and if you shoot somebody's leg, then you will black their leg out, and then if you go ahead and keep shooting that leg, that damage will spread between each body part. So it'll probably take 5 or 6 shots to kill somebody by shooting them only in the leg. So if you can hit your face shots with AP 6.3, it'll probably fare a little bit better overall, but it'll still be a tough match until you get better weapons with Enforcer. You can even use this RPD, or a lot of people have been using this MK43 because you're able to use this BCP FMJ round, which does very high damage and very high pen. So we have our Uzi class, go on a scout. We're going to go ahead and we're going to make another MDR class. We're going to open the save that we made before. We're going to hit save, and then that's it. That's the weapon. We're already done because we already made it earlier. Throw on our contacts, go to our body armor. I'm just going to go ahead and put on this Cora here. Again, eventually we'll want that OTV armor. You can only have access to tier 3 helmets. I'm going to put on this helm, face mask, sunglasses, tactical rig. Just going to go ahead and put on this commando. Get rid of that stuff. Propital, AHF1. Unload the mag. Let's go and load it. I'm going to load it with 855A1. It's 64 metascore per round. So that can add up really, really fast. You can see if I add in 60 rounds of this, we're already almost capped out. We don't want only 2 mags of a specific round. So usually I'll just use 855A1 because it's still a pretty good round. We'll duplicate it a few times until I have enough. Add a round in the gun. That's pretty good. We're at 11,322. So you can kind of min-max that if you want. Save it. Oh yeah, we need to make our clothing dark. Okay. So with Marksman, it's up to you. I would not recommend using the M1A. The M1A is probably the worst semi-auto rifle in the game. Definitely purchase the SR25 or the G28 when you have access to it. Otherwise, I would look into probably modifying the AK-545 as your first marksman class. If you want something that's full auto, you need to use a submachine gun, and you can go into the Uzi again. You can't really throw in too many attachments anyways at first. I'm just going to throw in the best ergo pistol grip, which it's already on there. We're going to go ahead and switch out the buttstock to CTR. CTR is one of the best ones. Going to equip our sight. I just get rid of this rear sight because it's not serving any purpose. I usually will, for AKs, I purchased this Zenit RPE1. We're gonna add a grip to this, RVG black. The front, we still can't really have any silencers or anything until we unlock them. So I'm gonna go and throw on the DKT1. This reduces a little bit more recoil, as well as it gives us more ergo. I'm gonna throw on these M locks on the side for extra ergo for free. That's pretty much it. That's the entire weapon. This AK-545 is much nastier because you have access to BS rounds, which penetrates through tier 5 armor. I'm going to use 30 rounders here. I'm going to load this up with BS. I'll actually probably just make a few of these mags. And again, 90 mags of a semi-auto rifle is going to take quite a while to burn through unless you're missing a lot of your shots. Go with dark clothing. Make sure we have our Neo Steel and everything else there. We're looking good. We can still kind of maximize one more mag if we wanted to. You could do it as you see fit. Because we have a great foundation with this setup, if you make a new class, you're able to hit this little arrow here. You can load a different preset as a template so that way you can just switch out your weapon instead of having to start from scratch. Now when we're starting off after we made our presets, I would just recommend looking for last hero matches. Just queue for everything if you want, or mostly like Chop Shop, Equator, and Bay 5. Those are the most popular maps for people to play on. You'll want to make sure you try to get your tasks to line up with what game mode that you're playing. So I would just try to reroll for a lot of last hero tasks as often as possible. Getting a lot of kills with your weapons will also allow you to unlock different attachments and level up your weapon a lot faster. Sometimes you might die off the spawn. Sometimes you'll just do really, really bad until you really get the feel of different weapons and the play style of Tarkov. Once you hit level 10, I would definitely unlock presets for the ones that you play the most, so that way you can experiment with more weapons. Even if you want to just simply try out a different weapon that's available, if you want to purchase one that it's available, I would recommend doing so and just trying to experiment with different play styles and different attachments. After you play a few matches in Last Hero and you feel like you're getting in like top, third, second, or first place in the match, I'd move on to Teamfight. If you feel like Teamfight's getting a little too easy, I'd move on to Blastgang. Blastgang is where a lot of teams play typically, and so matching will be a lot harder and involves a lot more teamwork compared to Teamfight, which you can really solo a 1v5 or 1v4s a lot of the time because it's not reliant on planting or defusing an objective. I'd only recommend playing Checkpoint if you're playing with friends. Otherwise, if you're solo queuing and you play with a bunch of other randoms, it's probably not going to be a good time because you do need to coordinate with your teammates to try to win the entire match. There's even times where I've gotten 30 plus kills and I would die maybe like 8 times or so, but because nobody's capturing or holding objectives, you just lose because you don't gain or lose points depending on how many kills you get against the enemy team. Let me know in the comments down below if this video has helped you guys, and more importantly guys, just have fun playing the game. It's really important to not take it like super crazy seriously unless maybe you're playing ranked. It's fun to clutch matches and everything, but if people are trying to knife fight, do some knife fight battles. It's a really fun time. As always, I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.